Hey, and welcome to NinjaBill and Razyel Kayne live in our Wheel of Time series, Books in Review. And I want to welcome Razyel Kayne to the show.
Hello.
Start out with, tell people a little about yourself and how they can find you.
Razyel Kayne reviews. I do toy reviews, toy hacks reviews, but my main attractions are voice actor spotlight of the Transformers cartoons. And you can find me on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and in the Gatineau area of Ottawa. But I don't answer the door, so no.
And of course, I won't enter the door. Uh, and of course, I am Ninja Bill, and you can find me via YouTube at Ninja Bill Reviews, or you can find me on Facebook at Shinobi Birru. Um, you can find me also on T Formers as Ninja Bill Reviews. Um, Facebook is Shinobi Birru, and Discord is Ninja Bill 01, I think. I can't remember.
I guess you can find me on T Formers as well. I post a lot there because bacon is awesome.
Yeah. I have this problem. I signed up with an account. I don't know, like a year or so ago, and I kept forgetting I even had the account, and you know, it's one of those situations where I have problems remembering all my social media things. Like I have a Twitter, I never use it. I have I don't use Instagram. At one time I did, and I didn't like it, so I just stopped using it, and I don't intend to get it again. Although most of my friends are friends that we both know and hang out with. They all use Instagram except for
Yeah.
me.
Yeah, they
So
do. A lot of people do, and it's good for. I use it just for promoting. Well, no, that's not true. When I get a new toy, I post the pictures, and then after that, I post my thumbnails for my reviews and voice acting spotlight. But otherwise, I'm not that much on it.
see, that's what I use my Facebook for. I also have a Patreon, and if you have the means to do so, please, the link will be in the description below, along with other links to Transformers reviewers and Raziel King's channel. You'll find all of those links in the description below. And again, my Patreon link is down there in the link below. So if you feel you have the time and the means to do so, please, and make sure you like, comment, and share and subscribe to all his videos and my videos. Really helps our channels grow. And I'm hoping to get 1,000 subscribers by August. I'm hoping at best, to have 1,000 subscribers, and I'm hoping that Raziel himself will reach 1,000 subs by the end of the year or sooner. Let's
Oof.
help him get him there, folks. Let's help him get there, folks. And so here we are, and as like the first episode of this series, this is going to be a monthly series wherein we review a book from the Wheel of Time series. If you are not familiar with the Wheel of Time books, The Great Hunt, this is the one we are featuring today, book two. Um, the Wheel of Time books are by Robert Jordan, fantastic author, who is sadly passed away. But
Yep.
then Sanders picked up where he left off in the last three books. Fantastic books. I highly suggest you read them and watch us to follow along if you've already read them. As I say, you can see in the ticker below. Sit back, relax, comment, and chat. If you've read the books, enjoy. You can follow along still and comment as we go. So, this is book two, The Great Hunt.
Yeah.
And this book is not one of my favorites. It's kind of slow going, but at the same time, it introduces very important concepts and characters to the rest of the series as a whole.
Yeah.
There are some concepts that are used, very loosely and not really seen again until much later in the series, used maybe once or twice. But I will let Raziel himself start out with The Great Hunt.
All right.
Um,
Well, the Great Hunt is for my taste. I think I like this one more than some of the others. Um, uh, Contrary to you, the I like the fact that they, from the last book where they travel from the Two Rivers, all the way to the Eye of the World, and going by Carrion, and now in the Great Hunt, you actually get to travel a lot more of the land. You know what? We should get a map that we can share. I'll check that for next time. But yeah, the whole map that you have at the beginning of each book, it's not a big land, but it takes a couple weeks to cross the whole thing. So now, from the Eye of the World, which is somewhere no on this side around here, and then we're gonna travel the whole map all the way to this side here. I
Okay,
think I
give
hit
me a
the wrong spot.
give me a
Oh,
moment.
actually, we're gonna go to the point here at. Sorry, I'm not. The camera's not picking up, but at Falm, and early on, you're introduced to a new concept of character abilities. You have the Tavarine, which have Rand is has this big destiny in front of him. Perrin is now Wolf Brother. Matt has been cursed by the dagger, and now he's been temporarily healed by the Aes Sedai in Sheniar, and he's able to make the trip without going completely insane as he was by the end of the first book, where he's at that point he's paranoid and aggressive. And but then while they're sitting in Shiniar, they're gonna get robbed by Payton Fane, who makes a quick comeback. He escapes prison and he kills a lot of people and steals the dagger and the Horn of Valere, which is was obtained from the Eye of the World earlier. And the concept of the Great Hunt is that's once, I don't know if it's once a year or once every few years, but there's always a bunch of adventurer, from everywhere across the land that will gather
Hunters of the Horn. Yeah.
and then do the hunt for the horn. And this time, you have people that actually know where the horn is, and they're trying to get it back from an enemy, while you have these people where they're just going on adventure trying to find the horn. And at one point, these groups, Perrin from that group will meet a character named, I think she introduces herself originally as Mandarb. And I distinctly remember this girl saying, because that's her hunter's name, she says her name is Mandarb, and then Perrin starts laughing, crying, and points at Land's horse
Who's
and
named
says,
Mandarb?
"That's horse name is Mandarb." And then after that, she changes her name to Fail. And
Mm-hmm.
Fail will become a very important character in this series.
Which
But
means falcon.
yeah, that's right.
In their tongue, it means, in Saldean tongue, it means falcon.
That's right.
So,
She's a Saldean. And then we're gonna meet other very interesting characters from Saldea, and she's gonna become important, but also she's gonna become a major nuisance for this book for Perrin.
mm-hmm.
He's gonna be stuck with her for pretty much the rest of the story, and
The entirety. She'll be featured well, as a matter of fact, she's in almost every book since this one. Yeah.
yeah, she exactly. Now my memory's fuzzy. Is this the book where they Perrin goes back to Two River? No, wait, that's the one after that.
No. That's much later. Yeah, that's later. And so, so the hunters of the horn are searching for the horn of Valere, and the horn of Valere, what it does basically is it summons lost heroes, and by lost in this instance we mean they've passed on. So think of it like a Norse, type of thing where they're all these heroes, are summoned from a great hall, type of place, and they're but in this case, it's sort of like a dreamscape type place, and they're summoned to fight in whatever battle they're summoned to, at whoever's side has summoned them. Basically, when you the horn sounder, as he's called in the book, will
Yep.
sound the horn. These great heroes from all the ages past will come and fight for him on the field of battle, and they are all but invincible while doing so. Uh, um,
Yeah, they're
and
invincible, but they're not just for the people who might have read Lord of the Rings. It's not an undead army like Aragorn gets
yeah,
in the books or at the end of the third movie. It's just actual hero. You can, and those are heroes recognizable by sight and name very easily. Everybody's
yeah,
known about, God, what's her name? The blonde girl with the bow, silver bow.
yeah.
Um, and her ugly husband and a one of the king of Carrion from the past. Like all those great people are will come back. So that's the danger. If an evil person gets it, the heroes will come and they will fight with
The bad guys.
the
Yep.
bad guys.
Yep. Yep.
So
Because
so
horn can be sounded by anyone, and that's the danger. And one of the cool parts of the way Jordan wrote the sort of the lore behind the horn is that it's it's atypical of sort of the magical devices or whatever we're used to seeing in fantasy. It's not meant for good or evil. It's either or. It can be
yep,
used by either or. So whoever sounds the horn, whether be he or she evil, that's who the heroes will fight for. They're still heroes. It's just they have no choice but to fight with the horn sounder.
yep,
So, and I love that little attention to detail that he didn't necessarily have to have, but it's there. So, you have the dark forces vying for this horn because they can use it just as well as the forces of good. And that's sort of unique, because in fantasy, typical fantasy tropes, you find this great sword that can only be used by the hero, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And so this is a slight departure from that, and thus I like it. I do like it,
yeah,
and because no, I can't say anything. I was about to spoil some books here, so I caught myself, thankfully.
yeah,
But one of my favorite characters ends up with the horn at first. That's all I will say about that.
yeah.
So,
Well, by the end of this book, we'll know. But if you take a look at the map, they travel from Shiniar all the way to Falm, and it's a rough ride.
oh yeah,
But that's only the guys, because of course, alongside that story, you have Nine, Vegwen, and Elaine will meet up at the White Tower
and
in
Min
Tarvalon.
and Min. Min
Min,
was
oh yeah,
Min.
Min is there too because of
Yep.
her ability to foresee possible futures.
Hmm. And
In
they're all
this,
taken to the White Tower.
yeah, and then at the White Tower, she'll be studied, and people will ask her question, while the girls from the Two River and Elaine, the daughter heir of
Cameron
Camlin, she'll be. They'll all be. Well, Egwene and Elaine are going to be initiated as initiated, and Egwene will actually be not
and
Egwene.
accept.
Nynaeve is going to be accepted directly.
Hmm.
She shows she's already a rank above because of
Yep.
her strong natural ability.
Yeah,
And
she said, and we missed it in our first review. These girls are preternaturally strong. They have an inborn force unlike anything seen in the last 1,000 years with their abilities. Especially
yeah,
Nynaeve is one of the strongest, initially the strongest you outside of the Forsaken you'll find in the books.
yeah,
Initially,
she well
and then
she
as the
is
series and and then initially, as the series progresses, you'll find a few stronger than like one. I won't. No, I won't go into that yet. That'll confuse the viewers. But she is one of the strongest wielders of their magic, as you will call it here. Their source,
The one power.
the one power. So
And then Sadar. Yeah.
yeah, Sadar, and so we find ourselves with the boys traveling, and they're all in Valdara to start with, I think, and and the girls are taken to the White Tower. The boys are thinking about leaving because Rand really wants to leave, but they're trapped. Uh,
Yeah.
and you'll find them all traveling, but in comes Raziel's favorite character, Padden Fane.
Yeah.
Padden Fane.
Padden Fane will. He at this point, of course, he's been corrupted by Shadar Logot. So now he's a fused being between. Because Padden Fane was originally sent by the Dark One, but then after that he became infected with Ordet, which was or Mordet
More death.
from Shadar Lagot, and then he became something much more evil to a point where one of the baddest creature you can face in this world is the eyeless, a fade, and he basically just crucified one. Well, not crucified. He nails one to the wall by the where its eyes would be. He just grabs it and just punch it, and then the people who are looking for the horn that Payton has stolen,
And
they
and he steals Matt's dagger.
yeah, he steals the
Importantly, he
dagger.
steals Matt's dagger. David, welcome in, my friend. Welcome in.
Hey, David CT.
So Payton Fane is basically his character is the Hound, so to speak, sent to track Rand, but after Payton gets sort of co-inhabited by Mordeth, he becomes a creature not only of the Dark One, but as Raziel hinted at, there something far worse,
Oh
to a
yeah,
point where even the Dark One's forces and the Forsaken consider him a threat, a genuine, real threat that must be dealt with, and
he's that bad.
he's that bad. So now, Rand, Matt, Loyal, and Perrin all have to chase after Padden Fane.
Yeah, and then we're introduced to Ingtar Shinoa, who's gonna be leading that band. A character that's gonna come back once in a while. Um, there's that's the thing. We can't keep track of all the characters that Jordan introduced. Even at book 13. Oh, here's a new character. I'm like, come on. So
but he does it in such a way where he creates these characters, even though they randomly appear, they have a story behind them. And that's one of the things I've really liked for the most part. There are certain characters you meet maybe once in a book and you never see them again. But for the most part, characters like Ingtar here, right? He'll be introduced, and another book sometime down the road, suddenly, boom, he's there.
yep.
Or I'm gonna in the last book he's there. I mean, a lot of these characters you saw maybe once or twice, suddenly they reappear in the very last book.
Yeah. Well, it's like
great.
in the first book, they take Matt. What's his name? The Gleeman. Tom. Matt, Tom, and Rand are on a boat, and the boat captain is Bail Domon. And it's a nameless, just he's the captain of the boat. And then you're gonna see him in the second book. You see him again at near the end of.
I think he froze.
And after that, he becomes a major player. Huh?
You froze for a moment. I think you froze for a moment.
Am I back now? Yeah, I'm back.
Yep. Yep.
But yeah, so Bail Domon, he's just the captain of the ship that they're taking, and after that, he's you see him in book book 2 near the end, or during the book, he's talking with characters that are going to be introduced eventually, and then you don't see him for 6 books, 6, 7 books, and then after
Mm-hmm.
that, he's there for the rest of the series. So Jordan really had, he planned everything very meticulously, and everything was planned throughout a major story arc. It's insane. But each book, I have to say, like, you could pick up this book without reading the first one, and it
And
it took you a while, but you'd be able to figure out what you
who's
needed
who and
to
what's what.
know. When you're at
Yeah.
book 9, forget it. You can't jump in that series blind.
Mm-mm.
You
Even
need,
book 7 is that way. Book 7, 8,
yeah,
9, 10, 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14. They're all,
yeah,
you've had to previously read some of the early books to really, get it. Uh,
yeah.
um,
Even
so
Jordan said it. You know,
so in
he,
this book, they have to now chase after Pad and Fane, who had escaped their custody in Faldera, and they have to chase after him to recover Matt's dagger and the Horn of Valere. And along the way, along with a group of Shinarans that Ingtar leads, uh,
yep.
um, one of my favorite characters, he curses like a sailor, only worse.
Oh yeah, what's his name?
um, um,
I'm
oh,
looking
I
for the
can't.
name. Hurin.
Uh,
No,
no, not
no,
her.
Hurin is the thief catcher. Oh, that's another thing that's introduced. Um,
Oh, yes.
Thief catchers. So
Mm-hmm.
basically, thief catchers are people that can sniff evil. Literally, they can sniff evil.
Yeah,
So
and
if
they're
you're,
like bounty hunters.
yeah, and then they know by scent, they pick up people. So they hired her in to track Peyton Fane. But eventually, along the way, uh,
Bluto. That's his name, Bluto.
what?
The guy who curses a lot. Bluto.
Yes,
I
that's
think.
right. So, and oh, he curses, and of course, these are, I'm not gonna say family friendly book, but they're
Mm-hmm.
non-vulgar books. So his swearing is bloody and flaming.
Mm-hmm.
Those are, woolhead. Jordan had came up with the weirdest, funniest insult for anything. You don't have idiot and stupid, and it's woolhead and other uh, things that don't mean anything to us in this world. But it's I was always amazed with the insult he came about with. But
Oh yeah.
when the guys are hunting, led by Hurin and held by Ingtar and Uno, and there's a bunch of there's an actual soldier garrison with them, like not huge, but they have a small force.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually along the way, they're gonna sleep on something that's called a portal stone, or near a portal stone. But Rand, now being able to channel, use magic, he teleports him, Loyal, and Hurin in an alternate dimension.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody wakes up, and Rand and those 3 people are gone. So now they don't have a thief catcher to track the people. They don't know that Rand and the others are alive. So they asked, and so then Perrin reluctantly volunteers, and he goes see Zengtar, and he says, I think I can track him because of my Wolf Brother ability. He doesn't say Wolf Brother, he says I'm
No.
able to sense, and then by happenstance, Ingtar knows about Elias. He said, oh, I met a guy named Elias who could do something that you described. He's a good man, so yeah, if you want to go ahead and try to track Peyton Fane, go ahead. So Perrin does that. In the meantime, in the alternate world, Rand, Hurin, and Loyal are trying to survive a des- destroyed land. It's like completely
Yeah.
barren.
It's the best way to describe this place. It's an alternate timeline. It's sort of the book sort of describes it as another world, but it's a parallel world that is essentially the same, but with a different timeline. So
Yeah,
It's think like a Marvel's what if sort of situation, but it's a multiverse type of deal. So the best
Yeah.
way to put it is a multiverse. So anyway,
Hey, you got a
so,
porn bot. Just if you
oh
want to,
no,
yeah, if you want to blog that.
oh I will do that very thing. Oh no, there we go. You made it when you got porn bots.
Exactly. That's a badge of honor.
There
So
you go.
Rand is with her in this alternate timeline or world, and they meet a random girl, Celine, who's probably the most beautiful woman that they've seen at this time. And through trial and error, eventually they find another portal stone and they're able to come back, but they don't meet back with the original hunting party. During that time, Matt and Perrin and the Shinarian, they meet an actual Ale. Now, at this point, we've heard of Ale and the Ale War, and these people are from the desert, beyond
Yeah, they're
the
from the
mountain.
northern way. So on the map, this is the AO way, the IEO, as they're called, the IEO. This is the AO waste.
No,
Or
no,
no,
no. That you're circling up north. That's the Blight. The Aerial
yeah,
Waste
yeah,
is on the west. You know that
yeah,
mountain chain here on the west.
yeah, around
That's the
here.
spine of the world. So on the
Yeah.
other side, so in the white area, that's where the
Hmm.
Aerial Waste is, and it goes all the way to another city that reminds me in the description of something like Agrabah from Aladdin. It's a
Yeah,
distant land, and but we'll never go there. We just hear about it a little bit.
yeah. This is Shinar where they were.
Yeah,
This is Tarvalin where the girls are. So in case people want to know, this is Shinar,
man, you found a good
and
map.
right here
Big-
is Shinar. This is Falmaran. They were in Faldara, which is right here on the map,
Yeah, this is
and
where
they
we
are
start
traveling
from.
and they are traveling southeast, which is this direction. This direction. So this is where they're traveling.
Yeah. So during their travel, they're gonna meet an actual ale, and Matt will say to Perrin, "Look, this ale could be Rand's cousin."
Mm-hmm.
So because of the red hair and the skin tone and the build, also, so that's when because eventually, oh yeah, no, you from the first book we know that Rand discovers that basically he's been adopted when Tam will have a feverish dream after being struck by a Fade's blade. But
Mm-hmm.
he's gonna. That's the first hint we get that Rand is not from the Two Rivers. So now we get a second hint that he might be related to the Ale. So you're popular tonight, man.
Yeah, yeah. I forgot to shut off the volume. Sorry about that.
No worries, man. Your show. um, so that's the second time that it's hinted that where does Rand come from, and so the hunt continues, and there's tons of good story there. Perrin will actually meet another wolf brother, but he's
And that disturbs him greatly.
yeah,
Let's
because
just say it disturbs him.
yeah, it disturbs him because he went the wolf brother went feral. He's actually he's no longer a man. He actually went full wolf. So in his head, he's a wolf. So the guy lives in a cage, but eventually Perrin frees him, and we never hear about that again. But it disturbs him because Perrin is afraid that it might happen to him.
Mm-hmm.
But through love and support, he will endure. So then we travel all the way to
To Carhane.
Carrie. Something
Yep.
happens in Carrie in this book. I don't remember.
Yeah, they travel to they when they come out of the portal stone.
Oh,
They
okay,
come
when
out.
Rand, yeah. So
Yeah,
basically,
they came out near Carhane.
Matt and Perrin are still on their way to Falm, but then Rand ends up in Carrion, and basically because he's unknown and he's dressed really nicely. Because before he left for his journey, he was meeting with the Amaran seat, the leader of the Aes Sedai.
Yeah.
And so we had this wonderful garment in his package. So they pass for nobles. But then in Carrion, and I don't really want to get into too much detail about the game, but basically there's a political game in Carrion that's been going on for thousands of years. And basically everybody is looking for an advantage to manipulate, use, and betray you. Everyone. It's the most political place in this world and others. From what all the books I've read, this is the
Mhm.
worst place on earth if
Yeah,
you hate
it's
politics.
they call it Days du Mar
Yep.
is what they call it, and it's the game. Basically, it's the game of houses, as they call it, the game of
Yep.
houses, where it's think of a bunch of nobles trying to outdo each other every day, every minute of their day. They spend trying to outdo one another, enrich themselves. Uh, um, Plots, assassinations,
Yep.
all that stuff you'd expect, but it's quite a thing, and it's a thing you'll see talked about from here on out at least once in every book.
Yeah. But what's
With
interesting, and this is the start, and basically, as I remember, Rand will refuse to play the game. So he's getting invitation because now he looks like a noble that no one knows. So he's getting invitation, and he burns them all until at one point he gets an invitation from the biggest house, and the it's okay, David. We're doing it for fun.
Yeah.
So he's doing he gets an invitation from the biggest house, and then Hurin won't let him burn it this time. And then they find out that there's a ways in the garden of that place because Loyal tells them there's a way we can there's
Yeah,
an
Waygate.
opening for the ways that we can use, but it's in that garden where the party is. So then Rand decides to go, and then we meet up again with Tom Maryland, who's been hired as a bard, and um, they that's the time like they open the ways eventually, like the political game is being played, but they open the ways. But I think is that the time that Mesh and Shin is waiting for him?
Um, I don't think so. I think that's another Waygate.
Okay.
I think that's the Camlin Waygate you're thinking of.
Yeah, potentially, because I remember basically that Mission Shin was trying to move out of the way. So, but anyway, so they're able to use the ways, Himmerin and Loyal, and to travel all the way to Fall.
Hmm.
But what's really interesting here is that Tom Maryland is just he's been hired as a bard and he's playing, but he also has a girlfriend that he really likes and he's spending time, so he's not really part of the gang. But that woman gets assassinated because of the game of house
Hmm.
in his room. So what Tom does, and that's when you discover that the guy is not just a bard and he's not just a storyteller, but he actually forges letters, plenty of them, and then basically all those letters are forgeries of nobles in Carrion, and he sends them to different people, or he leaves them for people to find, so that he creates trouble. But then his last act in Carrion is he goes and he murders the freaking king.
Hmm.
He murders the king. And I only figured that out in my second read.
Yeah, yeah. He murders the king in vengeance
Yep.
because the king is the one who ordered it.
And he never
And
gets caught. There's never any consequences for him because of that. But this is going to trigger a series of events that will take place up until book 9,
hmm
when something important with Elaine happens. but it triggers a series of problems. Ran is going to get sucked in this world in book 4 or maybe 5, and in book 5, and then it's all triggered because Tom Maryland just said, "Yeah, you kill my girlfriend, screw
I'll
you.
kill you.
I'm going to ruin your town." And he did it beautifully. So that's one of my favorite passages in that book.
Yeah, because we come to find out that, without spoiling too much, we come to find out that Tom is an old hand at the game.
Oh yeah.
That's about all I'm going to really say about it. So it's kind of a spoiler, but not really. All I'm going to say is that he is an old hand at the game because of his past, and that's
Yeah.
all I'm saying about it.
Yeah. We're going to explore that past down the road. So
Yeah.
it's all good. But I think that's where I realized that Tom Maryland was there. He wasn't just following the kids to protect them from Aes Sedai. He, there's more to it than that. So,
Yep.
and that's
And
all going to get explored eventually.
mhm.
But eventually, everybody meets up. While the guys are going to meet back up at Falm, and then the girls, they do their training, they become initiated, they start their classes with to become an Aes Sedai. But eventually, they are taken by an Aes Sedai, which I can't remember her name right now.
Yeah, I can't either.
Hold on. Okay, they
Jenna.
go with Moraine to Tarvalon. Okay, they realize that Egwene might be a dreamer,
Mm-hmm.
and this will become essential in the book series because Dreamer can go to a world called Terra Lanyard. Basically, it's a dream world, which is used to be used by the wolves when they sleep, but then people are able to enter it, and it's a fun place that's going to be explored, but we don't explore it too much in the second, well, at all in the second book.
Yeah,
But
it isn't really telling Riyadh really becomes important later on in the book series, and we'll find out more about it. But it is the wolves, and call it the wolf dream, and they are without a shadow of the doubt the most experienced dreamers. Period.
oh yeah,
That
they are.
as much as we love the characters that come and go in the books and the main characters like Elaine and Egwin and Nynaeve, or Nynaeve, whatever they want people want to call her. But as much as they others explore it, and the Aiel explore it, it's they never see the wolves except when the wolves want to be seen. But the wolves are
Yep.
always there. They
Oh
just
yeah, yeah.
know
It's their
they
land.
it's their land. It's their dream.
Yeah.
It's the place where wolves go when they die. So that it's sort of their heaven. You
Yeah.
know, think of it like that. It's their heaven, and they spend all their time there until they're reborn from the dream. As pups and whatnot, and then they so this is where they live. And one thing we should note about telling Riyadh, although it skips ahead a bit, is if you die in the dream, you die forever.
Oh yeah, that's
Wherever,
right.
yeah, you die forever.
Whatever
Whereas,
happens to you can affect the waking world.
yeah,
So
yeah.
no,
So,
it's a very fun place. So, but
mm,
um, eventually, the girls will leave, uh, because
they're tricked into leaving
it's
by
Leandrin. It's Leandrin.
Leandrin.
Yeah,
They are
Leandrin takes Egwene and Naive to Toman Head, and because on pretense that the boys are in danger, um, but eventually they are captured by uh,
the
Senshin.
Dark Sith. Shan
Uh,
Chan. This is
yeah,
where the Shan Chan are introduced in the book.
yeah,
Shan Chan. Think of the Shan Chan as uh, um, a cross between a Japanese feudal society and sort of a I want to say a Roman legionnaire type of situation,
Yeah,
but more of the Japanese feudal lord system is basically how
exactly.
they operate.
And
So
basically, 1,000 years ago, there was some King Archer. Oh yeah, King Archer, but it's Archer Hawking, Hawk King, Hawkwing. Sorry, Archer Hawkwing.
yeah,
He,
Artur Hawkwing. I know your accent, but it's yeah,
yeah,
Artur Hawkwing.
Art. Oh, there's no H. Yeah, Artur. Uh,
Yep,
all right. So he sent a legion of boats to explore the world, and then that legion is
conquer it more
gonna,
like conquer it
well,
more
yeah,
like.
a continent. But that legion is gonna find a place, conquer it, and then build a very different society. But then or maybe it was more than 1,000 years ago. So anyway, it's way far back. But eventually, d- there's a nice Sedai or maybe an evil person that invents an Adam. It's a collar that basically, when you put it on somebody who can use magic, who can channel, you control that person. Her will is no longer her own. You can inflict pain with that collar. You can basically, anybody can that wears the other part of that collar, because they're linked with a bracelet. And let's say I hold the bracelet and somebody else is collared, that person will feel pain if I choose to make her feel pain. So basically, everybody that channels in that continent is collared and trained like a dog. And
Yes,
dog is the perfect term because they're
the perfect
obedient.
analogy is a dog. The perfect
Yeah.
they are little better than animals.
So the
To
Sentient arrive at Falm, they conquer it, that they take over that city, and they are a new enemy. And the girls on their false quest, basically, of saving the guys, end up being captured because they're basically sold off by Leandrin to the Sentient because she's a Black Aja. And through trepidation and adventure, eventually the girls are going to get freed. Niaev is going to be able to free Egwene, and they're going to be able to fight back. And at the same time, Rand, Matt, and Perrin arrive, and they fight with the help of the Shenarian. They fight off the Sentient, who actually lose and leave. But at the same time, Rand face again with Balsamon.
yes, and that point becomes both when Rand fights Baalzamon becomes a point of the main point of contention throughout the rest of the series. This fight
Yeah,
starts the fire, so to speak. It's the spark that really ignites the fires for this entire continent that will affect this entire continent. Is the battle that happens right here in Fall.
yeah, because you're gonna see a couple of things happen. One, Matt, because he doesn't think before he acts, actually said, "Oh, we have the horn," because eventually they do get the horn back, and so Matt says, "Oh, we have the horn, so we're about to have a fight. I'm just gonna blow it." That's basically it. So he blows it. All the heroes come, and now they all know him as the sound blower or
Horn
the horn
sounder.
sounder. Yeah, and sounds better. I didn't horn blower. Um, so now you have Bridget Silverbow and you have Arthur Hawkwing. They all fight. They kick the Sentry's ass, but at the same time, Rand fights. What's his name?
Baalzamon.
He fights Turak Aladon, who's Ascension Blade Masters. So the Blade Master concept is something that's been introduced in since the first book. Basically, to be a Blade Master, you have to be given the title of Blade Master by fellow Blade Masters, or you have to kill a Blade Master in fair combat. which Rand does. So Rand has been trained by Land, who's the greatest swordsman ever lived in any fiction. And I'd pit him against Luke Skywalker or any Jedi. I'm sure Land would win.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um,
He's or him or Ghislaine,
yeah, when
Ghislaine
yeah,
what's the other brother's name? Glad.
yeah, lad.
Glad is probably even better than
Yeah,
Land.
but you know,
It,
in book 3, those two are gonna get their ass kicked by Matt and a staff.
true.
So
It's true. It's true. It's true. It's true. It's true. I gotta admit, it's true. Matt owns him. Matt
oh
owns
yeah,
him.
no
Matt,
problem. But
he
then
owns him.
Matt's has the Matt's abilities will surface in book 3, so it's
Yeah,
cool.
but yeah,
So
Matt is
Rand,
one of my favorite characters, easily
oh
one of my
yeah,
favorite characters
he's
because
great.
of who and what he is. But that's neither here nor there. He's not there yet, but he's getting
No,
there in this book.
so Rand beats Turek Aladon in fair combat, but also he during his fight afterwards with Balsamon, he fights the Forsaken again, who's been taunting him since the first book. But then, through I don't know what feat of magic, they actually fight, and everybody can see them being
They fight in
giants
the
in the
sky.
sky, and they fight. But during that fight, uh, Rand's hands are going to be branded with the heron of the Blade Master. So now he's a Blade Master.
Yeah,
That's very important.
which if you've been following Min character Min,
Yeah.
who can foretell things by looking at somebody. She sees them as colors or patterns. That's how she sees people's futures, and if she understands what they mean, one of her tellings and the foretelling of the Dragonborn is told in many books and poems in this fantasy setting is
Hold on.
you'll know him by his herein marked hands. So he fulfills that part of the prophecy. Uh, uh, um, so at that battle, he fulfills yet another one. He fulfills one, and he fulfills two parts of the prophecy, all in this book of him becoming the Dragon Reborn. You'll know the Dragon Reborn by these two things. Two of those prophecies are met and fulfilled by
Yep.
Rand in Falm during this fight. So it's a pretty epic point. And again, this battle
That's why
will
I'm
be
surprised it's not one of your favorite books, because most of the most epic stuff that's gonna drive the rest of this series happens in this book.
well.
You have
Okay, that's true. I guess I got to take it back. I did enjoy the book. I enjoyed the latter half of the book more than the first half of the book.
yeah,
Yeah. Let's go at that direction. I enjoyed the latter half more than the first half. The first half seemed to just drag on a bit, but the latter half is where it's at. And I do like the book because in this book, it's pretty much almost the end of the book is where we're talking about now. Because of
yeah.
this fight,
I'm
the
just
story will be told and retold again and again across the continent. Some variations and themes and whatnot, but everybody say two people were fighting in the sky. There'll be pictures drawn and art made of it, and everything, and it will either in most people incites fear of the Dragon Reborn because now they know he's real. This isn't just some fantasy story told by grandmothers to keep their children straight.
yeah.
This is real. This is happening.
And
The
he
end
and
times are
he's not
coming.
a false dragon. Like,
Yeah,
he's not a false dragon like Mesrim Taim and Logain.
yeah. He's
He's the real deal.
Logain Ablar.
Yeah.
Logain is also one of my favorite characters. It's some of the characters that in the first book, in the second book, and even the third and fourth are they seem minor, but later, and this is again the way Robert Jordan writes his characters. You'll see meet minor characters that come and go, and you really give them not a lot of thought, but then later they come back, and you're like, wow, how did I
Yeah.
miss this character?
Yeah, there's plenty of thing that you do that happens all the time, and Jordan is was unfortunately such an amazing writer.
Yes.
I just found something on the wiki. They have from the book a point of view percentage of everybody in the book. 53% of that book is from the point of view of Rand. And then you
Mm-hmm.
have all of the other characters, Egwene in second place with 13. And then you have Bail Domon, 3.87%. And what's funny is that his ship, he gets captured by the Ascension, but he's not able to um, outrun them. So he gets captured and he gets talking with a captain of the Ascension army. And eventually, they have, is it in that book that they have
Oh.
a male Adam, which
Mm-hmm.
basically could control Rand.
Yep. Oh,
And then,
Doman. That's his name, Doman. I thought it was Bluto, but no, it's Doman.
yeah,
Bale
Bail
Doman. The guy
Doman.
was. He's,
So he's an important part of this is that Bail, Nayev, and Egwene, they gave him the male Adam that evil people are looking for. Hey, hold on. Do we have Morgdian in this book? Because I think
who?
Mo-
We
the
have
Forsaken
Byar.
Spider. Maybe I'm stepping ahead.
Yeah, you are. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not in this book, but Bale. Okay, we'll see Bale again before then we'll see him in the third book
Mm-hmm.
potentially, because the
Mm-hmm.
girls have to make their way back to Tarvalon, and yeah. So book three, I'll have to read on book three because this is. See, I want to read them again now. Now we started doing this. I just need my friend. I just need to get my friend to, because I lent him the first book like years ago, and I don't think he finished it yet. So
Yeah, and mind
oh,
you,
I
this map
haven't.
here I'm showing is just the Westlands. The Shan that you'll read about in this book that invaded Falm, they are from a continent that is east of here. This in the Arath Ocean, they are from a continent that's way over here, right? So there's some of these islands that are not even mentioned until much later, and they're mentioned maybe once or twice. And like Tremalking is mentioned several times, but nothing
Yeah,
really happens there.
no,
Or the Isle Jafar, nothing really happened. They're mentioned, but nothing really happened. A character may come from there, but nothing really happens there.
yeah, exactly.
So yeah,
But it's funny because basically by the end of the 7 or 8 book, the whole land is included. Everybody's involved in
yeah.
what's coming because basically the last battle is coming. At this point, we know it's the end of the world. It's coming. The something terrible is going to happen, and it's going to be the heroes that we've discovered throughout the first 2 books who are going to have to save the world. So it's a classic tale of youth, have to grow up, take control, and fight off evil. We've seen it in
Mm-hmm.
Star Wars. We've seen it in Dune. We've seen it, and there's a lot of parallel between Dune and the Wheel of Time. I was actually looking forward to reading Dune, and then I saw a couple of comments saying that, yeah, I found an article that was comparing everything between the two, the similitude, and I'm like, yeah, I feel like I've read Dune now, so I skipped it. Maybe I shouldn't, but anyway. So it's a great book. I love. Oh, they have Joe Fram Bornhall in there in that
Oh
book.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
we missed him. He's the captain of the Children of the Light, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah. And so is Bayar. Yep. So is Jarrett Bayar. Yep.
yeah.
Yeah.
You have a bit
They.
part by
Oh yeah.
Peyton Fane and yeah, and Moiraine. You don't you see her, but not as much in this book.
Mm-hmm.
Neither do we see Lan. But I think though at the end, Leandrin, who sold off the girls, she gets captured after the battle, and now she's going to become a very docile daman. She's
Yeah.
been captured by the Sanchin, and she's gonna be trained. So you have a black agile agent who's reduced to the importance of a dog because of one mistake and she made. So yeah, that's a small payback and satisfactory ending for
Yeah,
her.
the things that I got to tell you, some of my favorite books in the entire series are the Black Ajah getting their comeuppance, and not in
Yeah,
a good way, and not in any good way, and some of my favorite moments are like Leandrin, you know, getting her comeuppance, because here she is,
yeah,
she's trying to
and
she
there,
be the most powerful of all the Blackaja, and she'll rule the world and blah blah blah. And now she's nothing more than the house pet.
yeah,
That's
and I think you'll see her later when she's been properly trained. But it's there's a lot of some good thing happen to good people. You'll see some bad things happen to good people, but then you see some really bad things happen to bad people, and that it's satisfactory to some extent. And so
hmm
far, we haven't seen. Well, there's Celine. I don't remember. Is Celine Landfire or
Yes,
yeah,
yes.
she was okay.
Celine is actually Lanfear, one of the 13 Forsaken,
Yeah,
said to be the most beautiful woman in the world. Even above Elaine. Elaine is said to be one of the most beautiful women of the period. And Lanfear makes her look, in Rand's own words, Lanfear makes Elaine look like, what was it, like a Terran maiden or something.
yeah, exactly. I think
It's
the best looking one for the by the end, it's probably Berlin.
Berlin. Yeah, Berlin is another one of them.
I always called her Bear Lane because
Berlin. I
she
don't know how to
barely
pronounce
wears
it.
anything and she's ready
Berlin.
to
Yeah,
get laid all the time.
that's appropriate actually. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, so
because
she's Bear Lane. I
she
figured that's her purpose. So
Berlin is one of those characters that we will be introduced in the next book,
nope.
and she
For, no,
uh,
fourth one.
fourth one.
She's the first of Mayenne, and she's introduced after the end of book 3, which we won't reveal right now.
Yeah, but
So
basically, her character is the typical seductress leader. She will use her feminine wiles, the game of houses, in any way, shape, or form to aid her small little,
yeah,
you know,
and
uh,
she's
uh,
gonna
um,
cause so much trouble.
so
Like
much trouble.
not bad trouble, but just she's adding political stuff,
Yeah,
and it's she's a good one. So we'll discover
yeah.
well in two videos. So we're pretty much done. We're trying to keep this under an hour or
hmm
at an hour because we could go on and on and on about these
Oh yeah,
awesome books.
awesome books.
It's great. And thanks, David, for having been in our only chat fellow
Today.
tonight,
Yep.
uh, except for the porn bots. So thank you. If you haven't read The Wheel of Time, David, I suggest that you pick up The Eye of the World and start cracking on that. You will enjoy that.
Yep.
So,
Or start with New Spring. It's sort of a prequel series to
oh
to
no,
the
but that's the
series.
thing. That's one point I'll make. New Spring, you want to read after you've read at least book 3 because
Curious.
yeah, I'm gonna give you, and I'm gonna use Star Wars as an analogy. The reason you watch Star Wars in the proper order 4, 5, 6, 1 through 3 instead of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6
I
is
follow you.
because when you get to episode 5 at the end, when Darth Vader reveals that he's Luke's dad, if you've already seen episode 1, 2, 3, you already know that. So it's
hmm
not a good twist. And then when you get to episode 6, when it's revealed that Leia's his sister, you already know that because you've seen episode 3. So it's
hmm
not a good twist. So you don't want to read the prequel New Spring too soon because it gives away all of the secret that has been established in book 1
You're
to
right. You're
3.
right. You're right. You're right.
So
You're right. Yeah, I understand that now. I understand that now. But
so people are saying, "Oh no, you have to read them in order." You don't want to be spoiled anything. You will read the prequel after. So It's just
Well,
my
I don't know if New Spring really spoils much because basically it's a story centered or about Moraine and Lan. Really, it's how they met each other, how they come together, how he comes to be her, her
yeah.
guard.
But it gives insight to Tam's involvement in the AL War
Mhm.
and how where Rand comes from and stuff like that. So you don't want to. To me, I wouldn't want that to have been spoiled
Yes,
already.
yes, we
So
do. Yes, we do, David. And with that,
yeah,
I'd like to thank you, David, for joining us. I'd like to thank anyone who comes along and watches this later. Uh, um, I include all our links. Of course, you can find my channel here. I have relevant links in the description. You can find Razyel's channel link in the description below. So make sure you follow both of our channels, like, comment, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. Thank you very much for everyone who does come by and watch this later and has joined us once again. Raziel, take us out, please.
take us out. Yeah. I'm Razyel Kayne. This is NinjaBill. Thanks for stopping by, everyone. And remember, nothing in life gives you a right to be an asshole. Take care.
And join us next month for episode 3 for book 3 in this fantastic Wheel of Time series.